My guest today is film director Bruno Ankovic, and he has directed short fiction and documentary films and TV formats. Now, since 1999, he has been working as a director of a great number of high-profile commercials, winning awards and recognition. Now, Proslava is his debut feature film, which won the Croatian Society of Film Critics Award Octavian Award at the Pula Film Festival and was nominated for the Crystal Globe at the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome film director Bruno Ankovic and his brand new feature film, Proslava, to the show. Welcome, Bruno.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Well, I have to ask because Proslava is based on the novel by Damir Karakas. And what intrigued you about the story that you wanted to make a film based on the book?
Yeah, I was firstly I was very lucky to read it while it was still in manuscript. It was published maybe 6 or 7 months later, and I really loved it. I fell in love in a way. He's describing his characters, and it's a short novel. It's poetic and short novel, but it's in a way concisely saying about our history of Balkans, history of ex-Yugoslavia, Croatia, and one could say also maybe Eastern Europe. And it's a history of some repeating circles of patriarchy, of some hard living, poverty, and some hope that tomorrow will be better, but it really never happened. So it's a story from the history. It's before the Second World War and after the Second World War. But unfortunately, when I read it, I felt okay. We can find this all over the world even today. So this is the reason why we decided to do it.
Well, have the Croatian people ever been truly free?
It's it's a very hard question. I think that we are maybe free now, because maybe because after the Second World War, during the Second World War, this is a maybe important history lesson for you viewers and for people which are going to watch the movie. During the Second World War, Croatia was a Nazi puppet state. It was called the Independent State of Croatia. And it was the first time that Croatia really had a state after 500 years. So a lot of people decided that this is a good thing for Croatia because it's a new state, we have our own state, etc. And then really didn't think about the ideology and about the worst thing which is going to happen, of course, with Nazism and everything. And after that, we had communism and Yugoslavia, and this was also a cruel regime during Tito's era and everything. So after that, this is also one part of the movie is talking about that at the end of the Second World War, with the new regime which is oppressing people, and maybe we can say that we are free today. I'm not sure, but we probably live in democracy now. But what's going to happen tomorrow with all these things going on around us? I'm not sure.
Well, as I was watching the film and I was making notes, why did you want to tell the story in a bit of a reverse order? The film moves into 1945, then it goes to 1933, and then into 1926, but then moves up to 1941 when the Nazis use the Croatians as propaganda.
Yeah. It's a philosophical question, I think. It's very similar in the novel, of course. We wanted to stay as close to the novel as possible. It's differently, non-linear, but differently. But when somebody asked me that for the first time, I thought, okay, I have to give you a philosophical answer. I don't think that we really live in a linear way. I think that we live maybe 20 steps forward and then 10 back, and then maybe 2 forward and 20 back. Not only in Croatia or Balkan or Eastern Europe, but all over the world, So if you see what's going on, so this is maybe the reason why we decided to do this, just to have some point even on that, that we really don't live in a linear way towards some good thing. Something good happened, and then something grabs us back again, So
Well, yeah, because and I understood to going back in time in the film because you were setting up particular stories like Miho and his dog, telling that story, which was part of his character development and his dealings with his father. And so a lot of those things I completely understood. And I understand too that in the true life story of Croatians, those that were in the military during World War II, many of the men went into hiding even up until 1952. So did Miho, the main character, live in hiding up until that time?
I cannot really answer you this. Yeah, it was because they were, Mio in a novel and also in a movie. He's a protagonist and antagonist in the same way. He's oppressor, but he's also a victim. And half of the people, I think that half of the people during the Second World War were partisans, so they were on the good side of the history, let's say, and half of them were Nazi, from these villages. Somebody told us, a historian, that it was a question who entered first to the village, which army entered first. So young people went with them, So this is the reason why Mio is hiding, because he was a Nazi soldier, and this new regime came. And you have this, I think that it's only in Japan and in Balkans that you have this Nazi or Japan soldiers which were hiding really for a long years after the war. They didn't want to surrender. In Croatia, it was because you didn't have really, how to say, you didn't have a judge. You didn't have really, you could really lose your life this moment when they find you. Maybe especially at the beginning, at the end of the war, and these first months of the freedom and everything. But he's hiding. He's probably hiding very long in there. It is a true story of Damir Karakash, the author of the novel, grandfather, and he was hiding, I think, in this slurry pit, in this shitty hole. I think that he was hiding for a year, and then he surrendered, and he was okay at the end. They didn't kill him or whatsoever, but this was his story.
Well, I was curious as I was watching the film, you really kept the dialogue in the film to a minimum up until the part when it was 1941 towards the end, where there was far more dialogue. Why did you decide to keep dialogue to a minimum in the film?
It's also very similar in a novel, again, because we really wanted to stay as close to a novel as possible. But when you go there, people, we filmed in real locations of that area, which is still very remote part of Croatia. It's not far away from Zagreb or Split or coastal touristic towns, but it's behind the hills and it's very remote. And people still there live, let's say, like maybe 100 years ago. It's crazy. They are not poor anymore. They have food, but they live like that. And what was very interesting for us when we went there with actors and to learn about the way they live and everything, is that they really don't talk much. Still today, they're a little bit like animals. They speak little but very important stuff, let's say. I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know, somewhere in America you can find it. Those are people which are living with nature and which are living very, very close to nature, and they are like animals in a way. They talk a little bit, but and in the movie, this last part is like this situation where they have hope that things are going to go better. And when you are feeling that things are going to get better, and when you're hoping, then you can speak a little more, you can be happy about it. You can, this is a normal psychological thing that people do when they really hope that things are going to change. Because in a movie, we are just in 3 stories showing really poverty and hard time and everything. And then this Nazi puppet state offered a better life, of course, false hope and everything. But they went into it, and this is the time they can talk, they can sing, they can enjoy life. Let's say this is the reason why we did it in a movie.
Well, there was one line in the film that was really important, and it was the older gentleman that said in the latter part of the film, before Miho, his friend, and the girl went to join the celebration, he said, "I've lived through many states." He wasn't convinced that Croatia was really free, correct?
Yeah, he's saying I lived in many states, but I never I could never I never can say what I want in those states. This is the thing that was really going on and on for centuries in Croatia. I think that today we can maybe say what we want. I'm not sure. Can you say what you want in America, but totally free? You think so? Okay, maybe you can,
Yeah, yeah, we can say anything we want, and if you
but
want to
without any
criticize or whatever.
without any consequences. Without any consequences. Okay, okay.
Yeah, well,
I'm
that's
not sure, but
that's the reason why a lot of people want to come here, because that
yeah,
way they can say what they want. They don't have to feel like that they're going to be uh, penalized for what they say, like they do in places like China.
yeah.
I'm not sure if Russia's that way, but China's
Russia
definitely that
very much.
way.
Russia is today very much like that, and I worked a lot in Russia. When we're talking about who is today's character, main character, this Miho character, then we say he's probably some young man from Russia fighting in Ukraine, because Putin in Russia really he has this media under every media is under Putin now, and he's just saying them that people in Ukraine are killing Russians and they are Nazi, so they are going to fight there because of maybe food or maybe payment, or because they really believe that they are helping Russia, Mother Russia, let's say. So this is the same reason Russia today. And what is really interesting, because I really worked in Russia a lot, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you couldn't say it's going to happen. Today, a lot of my friends, artists and intellectuals, they are in a prison, or they don't, and they lost their jobs, and everything. So this is why we made this movie, just to try to understand how is it possible.
Well, it's a beautiful film, and when Mia was hiding in the forest, which are some very incredible scenes to watch, he sang a Christian hymn to keep himself at peace. Why was it important to include this hymn in the film?
Christianity was very important and still is very important in the world, of course, but especially in these village rural parts of Balkan, and they are Catholics, they are Orthodox. Croatian are Catholics. Mio is a Catholic, and this song is going on through the movie all the time. He's singing the song which is saying, "I'm not alone. You love me," and he's thinking about God, and he's thinking about his father. So this is the same circle, of father or grandfather and the God which is above them. And we as a people, we always think that somebody loves us and somebody is going to protect us. But I'm not sure is this really going on, So this is also some kind of false hope, some kind of idea where we run to if we are in a problem. We always think that somebody is gonna help us and somebody is watching over us, some energy or God or father or grandfather. So this is the reason why he's singing when he's alone.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed, because it was the only thing that he could rely on to
Yeah,
bring him a little bit of peace, a little bit of comfort, even
yeah.
in the midst of the elements of the weather. Especially because I noticed that in this film, how were you able to film over the course of 3 seasons, and how long did it take you to film it?
It's a low budget movie, very low budget. It's like I don't know, half a million dollar or maybe a little bit more. But we did it in 3 seasons, and it was really because this is a mountain, this Velebit mountain. It's very high, and it was really extreme shooting, let's say, because during the winter it was minus 17, during the summer it was plus 40 degrees. During the autumn, it was raining all the time. The camera broke because of all the rain and water and everything. But I think that it was really important for the picture. I think that you can feel it in a way. These conditions, weather conditions there, and it was extremely hard, and that's why we also decided to have a small crew which can really go around and be let's say, can more improvise and everything. And we also did it in a very documentary way. We called it a controlled documentary. Aleksandar Pavlovic, which is director of photography, and we called it a controlled documentary because we decided not to shoot without any light most of the movie. Even during the night, we shooted these scenes during the night in this blue hour, last moments of some light, natural light, without artificial lights. So whenever we could do it without, in a technical way, without using the lights, we decided to do it. So we just wanted to grab this nature, let's say, which is really strong there and really a character in the movie also.
It really is. The whole landscape is part of the story. And that's what I noticed about the cinematography, because it was some of the most authentic when it came to capturing the essence of the time period. How did you actually, because you just mentioned the use of using as much natural light as possible, which I believe was a part of achieving the look. I also understand that you used vintage lenses, and which then plays into the fact that using the natural light to get the right feel of the landscape and the time period. Why was that so important to you?
It was important for us to have this picture, to have this as natural as the documentary-like picture inside. And we use these lenses from the 70s. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the lenses. It's not professional from me, but I forgot. But they were very expensive. I know that it was very expensive. In Germany. And we made some shooting before just to try, and then we found this one, which it was like we wanted to have this look like Italian aerialism, but Brother Taviani look, this kind of look, not Fellini's, not so to just be there with them to feel it, I don't know did we accomplish what we wanted, but we wanted to present you as a viewers really the energy of that space, the nature, people, animals, everything.
Well, if you used the lenses from the 70s, did you actually use real film?
No, it was we thought about it at one point, but it was unfortunately too expensive for us. But it was an idea at one moment, but it is expensive, and it's not for a low budget movie.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things that I noticed, and you kind of brought it up, the scene where it was raining, where Miho was, he was trying to build a covering from the rain. And, when you look at films that could cost, $100 million, $200 million, most of the time they're just making their own rain. But it was really raining in that scene. So how quickly did you have to improvise the scene with Miho in the forest?
Fortunately, it was raining all the time, so it didn't stop. So we didn't know what's going to happen, but unfortunately for us and for our feeling and for our clothes and everything and for our health, it was hard. But for this scene, yes, it was very important that we catch it. But it was raining all the time, so we knew it's going to rain and rain. It's like, I don't know, Ecuador, but it's not Ecuador. It's not, it's crazy. This is a climate change probably or something. Before.
I love that. Well, you have Bernard Tomic, who played the grown-up Miho. He really dived deep into the role. Did he spend some time sleeping out in the forest?
Yeah, he was really he doesn't like to say like method acting or everything, but he was really into this role. He was like he lost some 12 to 15 kilos for this role, which is in winter, in autumn, because this is the end of the war. And he of course he had some help of doctors and the crew and everything. It was very professionally done, but he lost a lot of, and he didn't shave, he grain hair and everything. So he was really into it. He didn't wash himself for some time, and we went there, I think maybe 3 weeks we were before shooting, just him, me and him, just to walk around this forest, just to be in the village, just to milk cows and everything. So it was very important for him. He's a very young Croatian actor. This is his first movie and his first main role, and it was very important for him. And as a director, you're very lucky when you have an actor like that, which is like 100% into it. But
Definitely, and
that you can
it
feel it.
shows.
Yeah, it shows. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, it shows the audience can feel what he's
Uh,
going through. The different emotions. Tell me about the rest of the cast, because I was looking at the cast and I see that many of them were actually first time actors. Correct?
yes, especially young actors, because it was, let's say, a really complicated puzzle just for this main character, because we have Bernard Tomic, which is playing the adult Mio, and we also have two kids, a teenager and a kid, 18-year-old. So when we found Bernard, and it was a huge casting all around ex-Yugoslavia. Happily, we speak similar language, not the same, but very similar language. So you can choose, you can go around. And when we found Bernard, for these professional actors, we did this ex-Yugoslavia casting, and for these kids, we wanted to go really on this where they really live today, this remote area, rural area. And we found them there, and also in Zagreb. But it was very very hard, because we had to match those three guys, to match it one person, not only physically but also in energy and physically, psychically, in energy.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because you have three different time periods,
yeah,
and
so
Mio, yeah, and to me when I saw the film, you matched the three different Mios perfectly
yeah.
in the film, because when the audience sees it, it's like you're watching him grow up.
Yeah, great, great. That's great. Thank you for that opinion. And but also the other actors, because the other two main actors, main female actor is a young professional. She was then, I think, at the second year of the studies of acting. So it's also her for her first movie. And there is a brother. He's also a young actor. He's from Serbia, but he had some movies before, so it wasn't for him for the first time. So when you shooting a thing with young people, that's probably gonna be first time movie or second time movie. So this is you have to be very detailed in choosing them, not to
Well,
be afraid.
as a director, what was it like having to direct, not only dealing with the change of seasons, but then also directing some of the actors who have never done acting before?
It's not a problem, but also, for me, I did a lot of things with kids, and I love to work with kids, I love to work with young people. So I didn't have a real problem there, that this wasn't a huge stuff for me. Let's say we also had people which helped with acting and everything from the school, acting schools, kids as acting schools, as kids acting coaches. So we have some help. So it wasn't so much. I think that the bigger problem were animals, a lot of animals inside. So this maybe was something. We have a wolf, we have cow, we have, this is maybe rabbits, and some birds. So this was maybe more complicated, let's say.
Was that a real wolf?
It's not a real wolf, but it's 70% wolf. It's not this. There is this Czechoslovakian wolf, which is a dog, but this is not this one. I thought it's some kind of mixture of three. But when he came there in the village, she, I think it's she, when she came there in the village, then they need to remove all other animals from the village, because he's gonna get crazy, because he still have this wolf style of living, and we cannot approach it, because it needs to be because it's not a real wolf, but very much a wolf still. I think 70% of DNA is still
Well,
from the
I
wolves.
was kind of wondering, because when I saw the wolf scene, I was like, wow, How do you do something like that? Because I know with, you know what, like with the little black dog, you know, and
Mhm.
uh, and of course, I guess you just have to improvise when you're
Yeah.
dealing with certain animals, get the right shots, things of that sort. So that I get, but yeah, this film is so visually, it's so beautiful, and the acting is intense. It's deep. Everybody brought their A game here. Now, when the audiences that have seen your film, um, what was it? What is their reaction, and what was the reaction to the Croatian audience?
It's very interesting uh, because at, at, at first we didn't know is it going to be universal, you know, because it is a story from Balkans, from Croatia. People from around here really understand it totally. But then our premiere was the world premiere was in Karlovy Vary in Czechoslovakia, and they really understood the movie. And what is interesting is that people come to us and they are usually telling us stories from the history of their families, because everywhere you have a history of some kind of extremism, some kind of right-wing extremism, left-wing extremism, you know. So they're talking about that, the problems which happened before the war, Second World War, after the Second World War. So this is, let's say, Eastern Europe finds it like this. But in the West and in Africa, where we were in Washington a month ago, what they found out from the movie is something else. They understand this contemporary link. You know, they are talking about things which are happening today around the world, which is happening today. There was an interesting, very interesting for me moment in Karlovy Vary. A French journalist, she came to us for an interview, and at the end she showed us some pictures of Marine Le Pen victory first on elections, presidential elections. So Marine Le Pen is a right-wing politic in France, and there were young people cheering in front. And she showed us pictures of those young people, and she said, "Those are the antagonists and protagonists of your movie today in France." So they people are reaching out and you know finding some contemporary moment in the movie, and this is very important for us.
That's really a big compliment, because seeing a period piece type film and then having the audience relate it to what's going on today, that just
Yeah.
speaks volumes. Now, for you, what would you like for this film to accomplish?
I don't know. I would like. It's hard to say. What I would like is to go around and as much people to possible to watch it, you know, and to feel something from it. I think that it is a story from the past, but for me, it's also very contemporary because people today are really drawn, young, especially young people, are really drawn into this right wing or left wing ideology, extreme ideology, and even today, this populism, political populism, is very much fascism. So I think that you can understand something from the movie about that. You know, and this is something. But I don't know, movies going around the world in festivals, and I'm very happy. And that's it. I think that the movie now has his own life, and I'm happy for him.
Well, the archived footage that you have at the end of the film, it speaks volumes, because the fact is, here all of these people, they're excited, they're happy, they're celebrating, but they have no clue as to what the real plans are coming from Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
And to see, especially with the ending of the film, in which you film with Miho and the other ones, well, they're waving the flag, they're kind of caught up in it, excited, just like the young people today, but not understanding that the other side actually has more of a negative plan, and they don't see that. And it's the archived footage that really brings it to life, because you're seeing these people that truly lived during that time, and that they had no clue that they were being used as propaganda.
Yeah, yeah. We use this archive documentary footage because we think that there is no feature narrative which is so complex and so like horror like this footage. Nothing is happening there. They're just cheering to Nazi guy and to Nazi people, to Nazi elite. And as you said, they really didn't know what's going to happen. They really didn't know what's going to happen in next 4 years. And this is a question: do we really know today, when we are cheering politicians and we are so happy around the world? Do we really know what are their intentions at the end? Are they positive? Are they negative? This is something which was the idea of this archive, to think about it. Let me give you an example. I think 5 months ago in Germany decided to make some kind of I don't know, is some kind of they decided to let young people from 16 to 18 years to vote for the European elections, not German parliamentarian elections, but European elections, which, let's say, it's not so important maybe for Germany. And they decide to make some kind of to do that. And what happened is that I think 35% of young people voted for AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, which is a Nazi party, very open Nazi party. Musk is for them now, and he says that this is the only way that Germany can get out of crisis. And he said they are not Nazi, but they are Nazi. They are really openly Nazi. Lot of elite, their elite. And when they asked the young man why is he voting, and this was like maybe I think that 37% of young men voted for them. Women no, young ladies no, but young men. And at the end, 30% of young people. And they stopped one guy, he's 16-year-old guy, and they asked him why, and he said, because I'm afraid of war with Russia. I'm afraid of the green politics, because green politics is making inflation in Germany and crisis for the first time after the Second World War. I'm afraid of new corona crisis, a pandemic. I'm afraid of etc., etc. And I think the only way we can go is to go with those people which are going to help us. So this is the similar. He's going, and they are probably going to win in elections, and going to be a part of the German government, at least as partners. I don't know. The elections are very close now. So this is the footage I'm saying about. This is what the lady from France said. Okay, these are young people cheering for Marine Le Pen with flags of France and everything, but do they really know what's going on there?
Yeah, that's the problem with politics.
Yeah,
How much of the politics is true
yeah,
propaganda, and what elements of politics are there to really help the people, if there's any help at all. But I have, like you, I have seen the changes going on in Germany, and I wouldn't exactly say they're going in the correct way about it, or the path moving forward is not going to be that bright. So there's a lot of pushback going on in Germany. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Now, for you, though, because this Proslava is going through the film festivals, how time consuming are the film festivals for you?
very, very much, very much. I cannot go everywhere, but and it's beautiful to be there, of course, but it's very time consuming, and I need to stop now, and I need to stop with the interviews, with everything. I need to work on another movie. I need to start. I would quote great Michael Haneke, who said that, and maybe on the 100th interview about some movie, I don't know which one exactly, he said, I now need to stop talking and start to work with another movie. So this is also with the festivals. You have to go around, you have to be there, of course, but now I'll try to concentrate.
Yeah, I can get that. I've talked to so many people who have spent so much time going through the film festivals. It's put other projects on hold, or it's hard to do a project in the midst if your film is, well, if it's winning awards here and there and getting so much press. So that I can completely understand. But ladies and gentlemen, Proslava, Croatian for the word celebration is a film about Mijo, who is hiding in the woods as a soldier at the end of the Second World War. Now, through his life, the film explores the circumstances that lead to the expansion of extremism. Now, by witnessing his father's cruel act driven by poverty and after carrying out the municipal authorities' undue order to get rid of the family dog, Miho became easy prey for right-wing ideology, which offered him false hope for a better life and a false culprit for all of the things he has suffered. Now, the main character, Miho, is both the protagonist and the antagonist, as Bruno has told us today, and the story is very deep and it's heavy. No matter what war rages, it is always a dark time for anyone and for any country. Now, the cinematography of Proslava was captured by Aleksandar Pavlovic, and it is beautiful. His camera work takes the audience into the heart of the mountains and into the lives of a Croatian family who deal with poverty and the promise of freedom that never really truly comes. But Proslava is a wonderful film. When you have the chance to see this film, sit there, watch it, because it is a very powerful story. And as Bruno has told us today, you will start to see within this film what's actually going on in modern day time that we're living in right now. And Bruno, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your incredible film with me today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us here and for these words, beautiful words. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Proslava, Croatian for the word celebration, is a film about Mijo, who is hiding in the woods as a soldier at the end of the Second World War. Now, through his life, the film explores the circumstances that lead to the expansion of extremism. By witnessing his father's cruel act driven by poverty and after carrying out the municipal authorities' undue order to get rid of the family dog, Miho became easy prey for right-wing ideology, which offered him false hope for a better life and a false culprit for all of the things that he has suffered. Now, the main character, Miho, is both the protagonist and the antagonist, and the story is very deep and heavy. No matter what war rages, it is always a dark time for anyone and for any country. The cinematography of Proslava was captured by Aleksandar Pavlovic, and it is beautiful. His camera work takes the audience into the heart of the mountains and into the lives of a Croatian family who deal with poverty and the another promise of freedom that never comes. So we want to thank Bruno for sharing his incredible film today. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching. And as for me, you'll either see me at the movies or from the red carpet.